I
Oh,
think
there
we
you
just
are.
had there we go.
Oh, just a little technical difficulty. No worries.
I think
But yeah.
that was my Polish fingers flipping up an ad that came on here. So.
All right, here we go. So, welcome everybody. Frank Peterson, frankpetersonbroker.com. And this is the first of many of a video series. It's hosted on YouTube and it's available on my website. I'm going to be having guests come out weekly to have a long form discussion, probably about a half an hour or so every week. And topics are going to be about a person's business, about their community involvement, about things that they're passionate about, finance, accounting, economics, philosophy, current events, you name it. The discussion is wide open, and the whole purpose is just to have more of a long format to discuss a specific topic in depth. Because when you're out networking, you don't really get a chance to talk for more than a couple minutes. So for here, we're going to be able to highlight a specific topic and really dive deep into it. So I think it's something that a lot of people would be interested to be exposed to and to consume. So with no further ado, we've got our first guest here, Mr. Tom Kozlowicz. And Tom, you've been really active with the Yorkville, Illinois Chamber, right?
Yes, I have. I've been active in there in the chamber probably about 10 years.
Yeah, wow, that's exciting. And then you've also been with which hotel is that?
On the Holiday Inn Express in Oswego. We actually are celebrating our 20th year. Our 20th year will be celebrated on September 29th of this year. It'll be 20 years in existence. And we've served the Valley for all 20 years. We were one of the first hotels in the Valley. Yeah,
that's really exciting. How did you get started with that? And then how did you get started with the chamber?
Ironically, the chamber is probably the biggest thing. Besides belonging to the Yorkville Chamber, because at the time we joined the Yorkville Chamber, the only hotel around Yorkville was actually the Super 8. And people wanted to have a large chain with IHG being, the Holiday Inn Express being an IHG property. They like staying at the IHG facility for its points. Now, of course, Yorkville has another hotel at the Hampton, which is an excellent Hilton brand, and people stay there for that brand also. So we are not as significant a partner in the Yorkville business as we were before, but we have stayed active in the chamber because we still do a lot of wedding business. Whitetail is one of our biggest suppliers of wedding venues. Emerson Creek, the county fairgrounds, things like that. So we support a lot of the businesses within the Yorkville area.
Yeah, definitely. And you book was some long term as well as short term, right? So people will come in from out of town.
That is correct.
Construction, people like that.
That is correct. All of our rooms have microwave, refrigerator, and Keurig coffee makers. So it makes it convenient for somebody who's staying for a longer term. We set up in a 1-bedroom suite. So while their house is being taken care of, they can stay at the hotel, stay within the school district, and do a lot of different favors like that.
Yeah, right. What do you get more of, the short term or the long term?
Short term. During the week, we primarily get business clients, which at one time Caterpillar used to be almost 20 rooms a night for us. And now with Caterpillar getting out of the area, they are more of a minimal customer. But there's still a lot of good clients out there. There's DISA, there's Carl Budding, there's places like that still decide to do that. But weekday business is business. Weekend business is primarily leisure, where we do a lot of the dance companies. We do a lot of sports events and a lot of weddings.
Yeah. So what are some of the main attractions people come out of town? What do they usually stay for?
The first one is going to be the Stewart Sports Complex, which is over in Montgomery, which is the largest sports complex here in the state of Illinois for outdoor fields. And they come here for soccer, baseball, Frisbee, which I never knew Frisbee was such a big sport until this past couple of years, where they have people from all over the United States come in for the Frisbee tournaments.
The Frisbee is pretty exciting stuff. Have you ever been out there and you've seen him play before?
Oh, yes, we have. Josh, who is head of the Stewart Sports Complex, is a very close friend to the hotel, and he gets the list of their events and whatnot. And we try to house as many of those people as we can. So it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, right. So where are you at today? Are you at your house?
Ironically, today I'm at my house. This morning we had business over coffee.
How was that? I didn't get to go. I got too busy.
Business over coffee is always a great event sponsored by the chamber, which is good for both chamber and non-chamber members. So people who don't belong to the chamber yet and they aren't sure if they think it's a great investment or not, have an opportunity to realize that the chamber dues are not an expense, but it's actually an investment in their business.
And that's the Yorkville Chamber, right?
That is correct.
Yeah.
The Yorkville Chamber does a phenomenal job. Last night, Frank, as a matter of fact, I think that you were there. You attended their annual dinner.
Yeah, that was a really great time.
And we cut it off at 260 people last night. And we have 370 chamber members. So when you have that kind of participation, you can see how chamberly our chamber is.
I know. We had our city administrator, Bart Olson. He came out for a little bit and he gave a chat. And we also had another gentleman who came out and you talked about some of the economic statistics and how 2018 was such
Gary Galinsky came out. He's up for re-election for mayor this year. John Pierce was there, another mayoral candidate, and Plocker was there as another mayoral candidate. And Sue Resin, who was their state senator, was there.
Yeah, Sue Resin was there. That's pretty neat.
Which is really good. They see the value of what the chamber does. The chamber works so strongly with the economic development and the city to foster better business environment for all of our businesses. And the chamber also has a number of leads groups. And Frank, I'm not sure if you are in a leads group or not, but leads groups are primarily so well intentioned that you can go ahead and create leads. And we've got 4 separate leads groups in Yorkville.
Yeah, isn't that something? So how Inland is structured, our inland brokerage in Yorkville, basically we have like a designated broker who represents each of the chambers in the area. So I've been pretty heavily involved with the Plano Chamber. I'm on the board of directors out there. I'm also the chair of the PR and marketing. So I do a lot. I manage the Facebook page and some other work like that. But yeah, our designated agent with Inland for the Yorkville Chamber, you probably know him, Mr. Bill Goodwin. And,
yes, no, I know him very well. As a matter of fact, Inland has been a primary mover and a helper with the chamber over the years. They've been a premier member at points in time.
Yeah, premier member for years now. Yep.
Yes, they've been very active within the chamber. Bill does a great job. Rick Arkman, who has always been a great friend to the chamber.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I know this is a lot of just kind of open format, we're just wide open, just kind of off the cuff. Is there anything specific that you'd like to talk about today?
Yeah, Frank, actually, I'd like to ask you, how do you view the real estate business coming up, and what does it mean to Kendall County?
Well, I'm really glad that you asked that. So yeah, just last night, they at the meeting, there was a really impressive figure that I had heard, and the new housing starts in Yorkville city limits for 2018. Do you remember what that was? It was like 235 or 200?
235. And I do know that.
Just insane.
I serve on the school board, so the growth of the town it's very significant because it has an impact on the school system. Yeah,
absolutely. We're going to need more teachers because we got so many kids coming into the school system. It's insane.
Well, what happens, Frank, is depending upon whether the housing developments are older people, the 55 and older group, whether there's 3 and 4 bedroom homes, that's going to be having 1, 2, or 3 children joining the environment, determines how many schools that we have to go ahead and either build or find out how to redefine how we go ahead and house and educate our children.
Yeah, right. And it's funny you mentioned the elderly folks, the older 55 plus. They have a new assisted living community that's is broken ground and it's almost completed out on the west end of town.
Yeah, that is Cedarhurst.
Mm-hmm. That's right by the shopping center.
Yes, and it's both assisted living and memory care. And
they do memory care too. I didn't know that.
Yes, significant memory care. They have a combination of the both, so it can provide a real need in the community. And they actually have a number of people that are already registered to go in there once it opens up.
Do you know when that is?
They're looking the end of March right now. They'd hope for the beginning of March, but it looks like it will be the end of March. There is, ironically, tonight or Saturday, what they call Dusty Boots. It's a private screening if you want to walk through the building and see it. It's
Oh,
not
really?
public, but yeah.
Huh. So do you have your space all set up already?
Oh, I'm already guaranteed a spot.
I'm kidding. You got plenty more years to go before you have to bother with that.
It truly is a great alternative. And then we have the new over 55 living space over there, Anthony Place, right by St. Patrick's Church, of which they got beautiful open floor plans for families that can't afford the real estate taxes anymore, but they want to stay around the area to be around their children. And they've got great housing options for them now.
Yeah.
As you know, our real estate taxes are some of the highest in the state, highest in the country.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, I'm glad that you touched on that. Yeah, Kendall County is the second or third highest taxed county in the state. And the state of Illinois is one of the top 2 states in the entire country as far as taxes.
So I'm sure it has to have a bearing on you selling homes, because when you can go to DeKalb County and your taxes are so much less.
It's like half. Yeah, it's surprising, but there's not as many amenities. So, people they have to decide, okay, do I want all the shopping? Do I want the amenities? Do I want to be closer to the trains in Chicago and all that? Or do I want to save money and, drive a little bit farther to go to the shopping and the different amenities and such? And
one of the things that I discussed this morning at our business over coffee, I talked to a gal from Parkview Christian High School. And they were talking about all the different options that people have moving in to Yorkville for educational opportunities. If they want to go to a Christian school, if they want to go to a great public school system, because we have one of the best here in the state, one of the most progressive. Education is very important to attract people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wanted to get back to the new housing starts again. I know we touched on it. I'd like to circle back real fast. Sure. Just to put it into perspective, that number, that 235 new housing starts for last year, that was for detached single-family homes. And
that's correct.
To give an idea of kind of how that compares to the area, the city of Plainfield had about 185 new housing starts. So it was a good 50 less than Yorkville for 2018. And just so everybody knows, Plainfield has over twice the population of Yorkville. Yes. So it really has something to say about the quality that people view that they want to come to Yorkville. It's one of the most up and coming places. You got Naperville and Oswego, they're all filling in, and where's the next place to go is Yorkville, is the next place west. And as far as growth, 2017 Yorkville had about 185 new housing starts, which again was hands down way more than anybody else in the area. Montgomery, Plano, Newark, Plainfield, all the towns around, definitely hands down, the most new housing starts. So absolutely a lot going on in Yorkville, a lot of new businesses too. You remember some of those businesses that they mentioned last night?
I sure do. You have your downtown businesses, which is For You Massage, Living Divinia, Harmony Aesthetics, I think Ladonia Cafe, Capitano, right back in downtown. Mm-hmm. Our downtown area has really come together, and they got that special award last night for having the most impact in the city for growth. Yep, definitely. Did you mention there was Belladonna had come in from Sandwich? They came into Yorkville last year, 2018. That is correct. And there's also a new hot dog shop that's right next to my office, right by the Jewel in Yorkville. It's Salerno's Red Hots. Salerno's, and they've been in business, I think, since 1991. Had they really? So, yeah, I'm not sure where they were located before they came here, but they are a very, very good fast food hot dog stand, and it's a really an old-fashioned type of hot dog stand. Yeah, I had an opportunity to meet Tony, who's Tony Salerno, the guy that runs the shop. And he's a really good guy. We were joking around about some stuff. I was giving him a hard time about his cheese sauce. And he's like, well, I actually have a couple different types of cheese sauce. So he's got options for cheese sauce. It's crazy. They got a punch card, and you buy 10 hot dogs and you get one free or something like that. So Frank, I have a question for you. Sure. Don't you have a number of small rental units within your inland facility that you have sponsored other businesses within your own facility? We absolutely do. So yeah, our office in Yorkville, which is right across from the Jewel on 34 and 47,
we take up about 6,000 feet in the building, and we sublease about half of that to some professional services people. So we have an accountant, we have an attorney in the office, we have American Marketing Publishing, who does like Yellow Pages and stuff like that. We have another accountant and a couple others. We have a computer repair guy. There's actually a couple of vacancies. I'm actually sitting in one of them right now. I have it as my dedicated studio for this show until we fill the space, and then I'll have to find somewhere else to go.
Well, what a great option for a small business that wants to get started, to have all the amenities of a large building, yet not have the major costs.
Yeah, right. You can have a private suite with climate control and Wi-Fi, and there's coffee and fax machine, printer, scanner. So definitely some amenities. 2 conference rooms, bathrooms, kitchen area. So yeah, there's a lot going on, and with a price tag of like $600 a month, I mean, it's not going to break the bank, and it'll be very well presented for your clients. So if anybody out there, has any interest, to be happy to tour it to them or with them.
Frank, I bet a lot of people don't realize how long Inland has been a participant here in Yorkville. Do you remember how long it has been?
Oh my gosh, we celebrated the 50th anniversary of Inland just last year, 2018. And I think in Yorkville since, you probably know better than I am. I've only been with Inland about 3 years, but I'm pretty sure it went all the way back to 2005, I think.
No, I think it goes all the way back probably to before 2000.
Oh, wow.
They used to be located in downtown Yorkville.
Yeah, I remember that. They had another space, and then with the recession of 2008, they had to close up a couple of their locations, and then they expanded back out into the Yorkville in 2011, 2012, something like that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They've been a very, very big participant, and we appreciate what Inland does for the entire community, because it is all of us working together.
Absolutely. So tell me, how did you get started with the chamber, and how did you become to be so involved?
I became involved with the chamber when I realized that being here, if you want to have a presence in Yorkville, we needed to belong to the chamber. And fortunately, we belong to actually 4 chambers. We belong to Oswego, of course, because that's where our hotel is.
Yeah.
Plainfield, Montgomery, and Yorkville. And Yorkville probably provides to us some of the best business we have, as I said, from our wedding business and our dance business.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw the need to, if you're going to be a part of the community, you need to get involved. And I got involved immediately. I joined the Leads group, and then I was fortunate enough to get elected to the Chamber Board of Commerce, and then I almost immediately became president. I served as president for 4 years with the chamber.
Yeah, I remember that when I first got started, you were the president, and you've definitely been a big inspiration for me to get more involved in the chambers and with my realtor association. Different. I think we might have lost your video feed. You still with me?
I still hear.
There you are.
There we go.
Oh, just a little technical difficulty. No worries.
I think that was my Polish fingers flipping up an ad that came on here. So yeah, you have to realize I'm not quite as technically involved or as sophisticated as you are, but it's really neat. I love the idea of having a podcast like this, Frank, and allowing the community to go ahead and share some of their ideas and whatnot, because too often we don't get an opportunity to do it, and people don't realize how valuable some of the podcasts can be.
Oh, absolutely. I definitely saw the value of it. I see that there's like a void in the local market. I see that this type of a structure has been really, really successful on like a nationwide level. I've been talking about like current events and politics, and you have specific people who they synergize together, they collaborate, and working together to succeed in order to get your message across. And so I'm trying to implement that same type of a model, but really bring it down to more of a regional level. So we can just have like the greater Chicagoland area where, business owners can, of course, highlight themselves and, what they're doing with their business, what they're doing with the community, but also open up that conversation to, like, how's the economy doing, and, how the current events and, their opinions on certain things, and even philosophy.
Frank, you've been involved with the real estate for so long. What do you hear about the impact of the $15 minimum wage that was just approved?
Oh boy, I'm not too happy about it, unfortunately. I can see, it's a really great appeal to people's emotion. They say, "Oh my gosh, if we increase the minimum wage from 8.25 to $15, then we can finally have a living wage." With like a living wage. Um, Unfortunately, what they don't see is the negative ramifications, and the direct impact that's going to have on business owners such as yourself. So you have, someone who is working at your counter, for example. They're probably making somewhere around $10 an hour, $11 an hour, something like that. If you have to pay them $15 an hour, what's that going to do for your nightly rates? What's that going to do for the service that you provide to your client base? It's going to have to go up in order to offset that additional cost. So I think that, and that applies to grocery stores, fast food, everything like that. So all of these products and services, unfortunately, they're just going to have to increase their prices in order to stay in business. You can't just absorb an additional cost without having an additional revenue to offset that, unfortunately. So it's a good news that it's going to be phased in incrementally up until 2025 when it will be in full effect. Hopefully they can figure out the damage that it's causing before it goes into full effect and reverse it. But again, on the other side of the coin, I can completely understand. It's like, here's this person and they work and, they're trying to make ends meet. They have an apartment, to pay. They got rent, they've got food, they've got utilities, they've got other bills. And, it's hard to make ends meet. Well, then that begs the question, if this person is, on their own and they have all these expenses, why are they still working at a minimum wage? Shouldn't they have been able to develop the skills necessary in order to go up the work ladder? So I don't know. I think that there's a huge loss for people who are just coming into the labor force as well. People who are 16, 17 years old, 15 even, they want to get their first job. They want to save up money to buy a car and have some disposable income when you're a troublemaking high schooler, such as I was at one time.
I think you still are.
I might have a little bit of that in me still.
Oh, yeah.
But I remember when I was 16, I was working as a line cook at a bar, and I was making pizzas and chicken strips and stuff like that in the kitchen area. And what was I making, like $8.25, $8.50 an hour? And if the minimum wage at the time was $15 an hour, I wouldn't have a job. I wouldn't be able to get a job when I was 16, because there'd be someone who's 19, 20, 22 who would be competing with me to get that same job. And they would be obviously more qualified than I was at the time in order to get it. So I would be SOL, wouldn't be able to make any money as a teenager, wouldn't be able to have a car, wouldn't be able to be a productive member of society at all. And that's a real shame. So I'm always a big proponent of the free market. I think that the market itself should decide what prices are. You have a supply and you have a demand, and the labor market is no different. So if you have a 16-year-old teenager who's willing to be a line cook or mop floors or work at fast food or any other type of a minimum wage type of a position, I think that they should be able to go in there. If they're willing to be paid $8, $9 an hour, then so be it. And I don't think it's the government's business to tell business owners or prospective employees what the minimum amount that they're worth is to be paid. I think that they should be able to have that conversation amongst themselves. And the more government gets involved in anything, the less productive it is. And it's just a real shame that we have all this extra regulation up in place for any market. What do you think about it?
It really is very interesting, because it will have an impact, like on our school system, where our your real estate people are complaining already about the high taxes.
Oh yeah.
And we figure out at the end of a 6-year period, the potential impact could be almost $6 million, because what you pay your monitors, not your teachers, but your monitors, or your paraprofessionals, these people who unfortunately are paid a little less than $15 an hour, but they're paid for probably what the job is worth at this particular time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to have an impact on almost everybody.
And think about, where does the school get the money from? They get the money from the city and the county, right?
That is correct. And they only get the money from the homeowners.
From the homeowner, from the property taxes with the county.
That is correct. About 73 cents of every dollar that the taxpayer pays in real estate taxes goes to the school system.
So if the bills for the school go up by $6 million, what do you think is going to happen to the property taxes in Kendall County?
Well, quite frankly, hopefully, and being serving on the school board, we'll find a way so that it does not have as much of an impact on the taxpayer like we're doing right now, trying to go ahead and redo a lot of different things to be sure that we are as efficient as we can, that we aren't just adding more buildings and things like that. But it always has an impact. We'd love to be able to lower the taxes.
Yeah, lower taxes is definitely, I'm a big fan of that. That's for sure.
And if the school system were to get the appropriate funding out of the state, the real estate taxes would also go down. So it's very important that every individual taxpayer pay attention to what's going on within the state, because it truly is their money. And if they want to have a great school system, they want to have a great village, you have to be sure that you are electing the officials that are going to go ahead and do what they want them to do.
Yep. One of these weeks, I'm also going to bring up rent control. There's two bills that are in the Illinois House right now that are being reviewed, and they involve rent control. Are you familiar with the term?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So multifamily owners and owners of investment properties, either single family or apartments or anything like that. The government's going to tell them what they're going to be able to charge for their rent. And I can get on and on about this, but just to touch on the surface, it's bad obviously for the owners of the investment properties and the apartment buildings and such, because they're going to be having a loss of revenue. It's going to stop the free market from being able to determine what those values are for the rent rates. It's also bad for the tenants too. If the rents are held artificially low because of the laws that are in place with the rent control, well, we're going to have all of the units are going to be full. And again, people who are younger, people who are living at their parents' house or living on a friend's couch or something like that, even if they could afford to move into an apartment, doesn't matter, because there's not going to be any supply available because the rent's held artificially low. And also, it's going to bring down the values of those investment properties and the apartment buildings. And you think about what's going to, when the value goes down on these types of assets, that means that the taxes go down on them too. Because when the value goes down, that means that they can appeal their taxes and their taxes go down as well. All of a sudden, oh boy, we have tens of millions of dollars of revenue that's not coming into the state that it was the year before. What do you think the state's going to do? They're going to find some other way to make up that cost. And
exactly.
That means the homeowners themselves and just your state income tax, everything is on the chopping block. And unfortunately, it's not good for anybody. And but again, it's here's the appeal to emotion. It sounds really great. Oh, we want to care about these tenants, and we want to make sure they can have affordable housing rates and affordable rental rates on their apartments. But really, there's these unforeseen consequences that just significantly outweigh the benefits of it, and it's a real shame that it's even being discussed.
Frank, I got a great idea for you for one of your future podcasts.
What's that?
Because you want to be as informative to the public and the people that you serve and whatnot. You may want to think about one time to have a legislator on the podcast, because I bet you that they'd be willing to go ahead and have a number of the issues that maybe we as constituents might have, and with the focal point, be able to ask a couple of those questions on a podcast that would be informational to your listeners.
That's a really, really great idea. I already have a couple of people in mind to be coming on. I'd love it if you could help with the conversation. If you have a good relationship with anybody in the surrounding counties, be very happy to have them come on. And also, moving forward in the future, the plan is to be live streaming these on a website that's called twitch.tv. And Twitch is one of the most popular live streaming websites that there is. It got bought by Amazon for billions and billions of dollars just a couple of years ago. And so that's going to allow people to see this in real time with only maybe a few seconds of delay. And then they'll be able to enter into the chat, and they can ask questions, and they can make comments, and they can actually be actively participating in the conversation, which is really exciting. So if we do have
what got you so excited about doing something like this?
What was that?
What got you so excited about starting a project such as this?
I don't know. I've always been kind of a nerd. I've always liked a combination of just like watching video content on YouTube, especially talk independent media, independent news, and how they were able to kind of get their message out and be very, very, very effective about it. But also be able to bring high quality content to people, to the masses. And I thought, well, hey, why not apply that same kind of a format to something that I'm involved in, which is, with the local community. And really, it's really great to kind of give myself exposure and try to build a new kind of a community and an outlet for people to highlight themselves and be relevant, be involved in that. But I don't want to take up the spotlight by any means. I mean, if I were to run a half an hour infomercial for Frank Peterson, real estate broker every week, no one would want to watch that, right?
No.
He gets sick of it, after 2 minutes or less.
No.
So I full honesty, full disclosure, I think this is a really great way for me to be relevant, get exposure, be able to interview business owners, give them a lot of exposure for their business and what they're passionate about and about the community, without jamming any kind of a marketing message down anybody's throat. I think it's just a lot more of a informal, casual kind of a way to go about it. And I think there's a lot of value to be had. And I think that when more people can participate, I think it can be really great for the community as a whole.
I totally agree. And I think it's good for community members to hear other community members talk about different subjects, talk about their passions, because we have some great people. Like today at the Business Over Coffee, one of the presenters was the Kendall County Fairgrounds.
Oh, yeah.
And everything's at Kendall County Fairgrounds are tax supported. That's a private organization. They don't receive a single tax dollar at all. And what they do every year for the 4-H's and whatnot, so they need to subsidize their business with having other venues there. And they created a brand new situation called the Venue Now, which is to help rent out their space, because they can handle 500 people in their one building and 100 people in the other building.
Mm-hmm.
We have a farmer out in Plano, which is you're very familiar with, that delivers 7,000 pounds of fresh vegetables to the food pantry every year.
Oh yeah, I'm aware of. Yep.
And you think of all these things that the community is doing, and so often we talk about the negative things that's going on within the community, and we forget about all the great things that the community is actually doing.
Absolutely. And, I think that just as a whole, I think that everybody's doing much better than they were 30 years ago. You look at the crime statistics, those are definitely down as opposed to 30 years ago. And, basically every aspect of life and quality of life has increased, yet the TV keeps telling us about how bad the world is. So I think that's a real shame. And I think it's really an opportunity for people to, kind of stop with the propaganda and the nonsense of the mainstream media and the TV, and really go online for your news and get more involved in the community, talk to your neighbors, talk to the community, get involved, and you'll see that everybody has the same problems and everybody works together. And not everybody is as bad as they say that they are on TV, So.
No, not at all. And I truly do believe that the involvement, you starting something like this, other people getting involved in all the things, the fact that you're involved in the Plano Chamber as well as the Yorkville Chamber, I see you at all the chamber events. I think that shows your participation, that you're available to talk to people. And it's not just about selling, it's about being involved in the community, because selling is all about relationships.
Absolutely. You nail it right on the head. Well, hey, we're about out of time here. I really appreciate you coming on. Anything that you want to share? Any last words?
Frank, just thank you for the opportunity, and know that I'm always available to you. I
really appreciate that, Tom. Yeah, you've been a really big inspiration for me, helping me get more involved with the chambers and with the community and everything like that.
I always, even when I have my memory care facility, I'll still be there for you. Thanks,
You'll think I'm your grandson or something, right?
Yeah. Thanks. I'd be happy to have you as a grandson.
I love it. Well, hey, Tom, if anybody wants to get in touch with you to learn more about Holiday Inn Express or anything else, or with the Yorkville Chamber, how do they get in touch with you?
They can get in touch with me. My business phone number is 630-844-4700. If you are a resident of Yorkville and you have any question about the school board, you can always get hold of me via the Yorkville website, or my cell phone, which is 630-251-7373. I try to make myself as available as possible to the public to say, I care about you.
I care about you too, Tom. Thank you very much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Hope you have a really great weekend.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye now.
All right, take care.
This is Frank, a professional real estate broker and business broker. Frank helps people buy and sell all types of commercial property. He helps business owners find space to lease and helps landlords fill their commercial vacancies. Frank helps business owners evaluate, market, and sell their businesses with or without real estate involved. And he also helps people buy and sell homes. To learn more about Frank and his services, go to frankpetersonbroker.com. And he'll be Frank